Welcome back, it's me, Lou. Today we are going to talk about custom action figures. So I say this in some of my videos that if there's a character you're very fond of, and if they don't make an action figure for it, take the challenge and you see if you could make the custom action figure yourself. It's a very rewarding experience. It's something I've been practicing since I was maybe like 9 years old, to be honest. This was even way before I even knew that customizing action figures was a thing. I think for most people, especially like way back when, you might have been very limited in what you had in terms of your toys and your collection, and sometimes you just have to use your imagination. You'd have to like take an existing action figure and maybe change it a little, just to like have it represent the version of that character that you wanted. For example, if you had like a Luke Skywalker figure that was like Tatooine Luke from like A New Hope, and you wanted like Return of the Jedi Luke. Way back when, if you're little, you might take a black marker and color his body until it looks like Return of the Jedi Luke. All these years later, I'm still making custom action figures, and one character I'm very fond of is this guy right here. It's the Jason Todd version of the character Hush. I don't want to go into the specific details of the character, because I don't want to spoil the story if you've never read Hush. Hush is one of the definitive Batman stories from the last, I don't know, maybe like 20, 30 years. It was written by Jeff Loeb and illustrated by Jim Lee and Scott Williams, with colors by, who did the colors again? Alex Sinclair. So, Jason Todd, he was the second Robin, and the character, died at the hands of the Joker. In this story, the character's, it's like I said, I don't want to give away too much. The character's kind of resurrected in a sense. And this new version of Jason Todd as Robin, I love this costume. It's associated with the character Hush, and it's just really cool. And let's see if we can find another image of it. Here's the Jason Todd character again in the Hush kind of costume. And then here's another good shot. So this is action figure that they actually did make an action figure many years ago. DC Direct made one, and it was a Wizard Magazine Toy Fair exclusive. Mattel has done their take on the character, but I don't think they've ever did the Jason Todd version. I think they only did the Dr. Thomas Elliott version of the character. All right, so we're gonna take out my custom Jason Todd as he appears in the Hush Batman series. Now, this figure is not accurate by any means. It's just one of those things where I kind of had like an idea of the figure in my head, and I wanted to see if I could just make something that's like a close approximation. So that's what we have right here. It's not 100% accurate. It's kind of more so a proof of concept. So previously I reviewed the McFarlane figure, the Dark Detective, and when I was handling that figure, immediately when I was looking at it, I'm like, this figure would be a great base body for a custom. And one figure that, like I said, one figure that's been in the back of my head for a long time was creating that Jason Todd figure, from Hush. So this is it right here. So I actually used, I think, only two different action figures to create it. I used the Gotham Knights Batwing, not Batwing, the Gotham Knights Nightwing figure that we got some months ago, maybe like 6 months ago. And then I also used the Dark Detective figure. The body, right, so the head, the body, and the legs and feet are from the Gotham Knights Nightwing figure. And that's Nightwing from the upcoming video game. And then the arms and the coat is from the Dark Detective figure. There was some challenges to get the pieces to, work together and for it to like actually connect. The shoulder sockets, the pegs in the arms, I had to like swap them out, which required like the use of an X-Acto knife and just, this is kind of just Frankensteining this figure together. When I make customs, I don't like to use a lot of paint because I want the figures to look kind of stock, and I always worry about stuff called joint rub. So if you paint your figure and if the pieces start rubbing together, you know, the paint kind of rubs off. I kind of wanted to avoid that. So I tried to use pieces where I didn't have to, you know, do too much of a paint job or add a lot of additional paint where I didn't want it. So that's why I kind of went with these two figures. The Dark Detective is great because it has a coat. It's not accurate because in the comic book Hush, she has long sleeves. On this figure, the sleeves are rolled up. But for me, we'll talk about that later, it kind of works. The Jason Todd Hush figure also has like a black bodysuit with like red trim on top. For me, I didn't really care. As long as I had a black bodysuit and this some red on here, it'd work. Again, this is kind of, after I painted this red, because initially this is blue, it started to kind of resemble the Red Hood figure, which I think is kind of a cool thing because Jason Todd's also the Red Hood. Hush kind of has the red or yellow belts. I kind of opted for all red with a gold buckle. He dual wields pistols, which we have right here. These are actually Marvel Legend pistols. They're the same mold, but just different colors of plastic. I didn't have a matching pair, so I'll try to correct that in the future. So yeah, here is my Jason Todd Hush action figure. It's not accurate by any means, but for me, it's a close approximation. And for me, I just wanted to see if I could do it or not. And let's just take a look at it closely. So here's the head. So one thing with the Jason Todd Hush character is that he kind of has like a tuft of white hair in the front. So his front bangs are kind of like frosted white. The mask is a different story. So the mask in the comic book, it's actually dark red, but in the comic book, it's kind of colored black with red highlights. The DC Direct figure, I believe, had a black mask. I was kind of opting going for a red mask, but I think it'd be too loud. So I just kind of kept it black, since whenever you see it in the comic books, it's generally 90% black and it's like 10% red highlights. The chest, like I mentioned, in the comic book is generally all black with red trim and actually has like a Robin emblem on it. I was pretty cool with just leaving it black and just coloring the Nightwing logo red. For me, this kind of works. It still kind of retains that balance of maybe like 80% black, 20% red in terms of percentages and color distribution. I opted for a red belt as opposed to a yellow belt with red pouches. For me, I just like the color scheme better. Again, I mentioned this earlier, the sleeves are rolled up. In the comic book, Jason Todd Hush has his sleeves completely down. I like the idea of Jason Todd, you know, having the Batman gauntlets. So I had no problem with his sleeves being rolled up and having the fins and the gauntlets. The legs were pretty stock. I just had to color out the black. I just had to color out the blue spots. There was some blue trim on parts of the legs and on the feet, and I just colored those black just so his legs would be completely black. In the comic book, his knee pads and his boots are kind of like a gunmetal. But for me, I didn't really care. I'm completely cool with it just being black. The McFarlane Hush figure has black feet. I have that in the 2-pack. And I was considering just using the 2-pack to make the figure, but the thing with the McFarlane Hush figure is that his trench coat is completely closed. And even if he sliced open the coat, the body, the middle torso isn't fully developed. So for me, this was a good choice just because also that the mid-torso here has that extended flat piece that goes past his waist, much like the Jason Todd and Hush figure have. So it has this extended front part of his top that extends past the waist right here. And I left the soles of the boots white. I figured it was kind of nice balance because he has the frosted white tips. He has a hint of white underneath the gauntlets. And, you know, this kind of ties everything in together. So yeah, this is my Jason Todd Hush figure. And the cool thing for me in my head, it's kind of like a nice amalgamation between Hush, or Jason Todd as he appeared in Hush, and also the current Jason Todd Red Hood character, just because in terms of the color scheme and the costume design, it's kind of like a weird in between. For example, here's the first release of the McFarlane Red Hood figure. This figure's been long out of print. There was a gold label figure that came without the red hood, and he's just maskless, and it came with, I think, swords. Just because they don't include guns with McFarlane DC figs anymore. So it was kind of cool, and a nice coincidence that this guy had the rolled up sleeves, because on here, Jason Todd has the rolled up sleeves as the red hood. So I kind of feel like this is kind of like almost like an evolution of the character. Like in the fantasy setting, of course. This isn't necessarily based off of anyone, like a real fictional comic book story. So in my head, it kind of looks like, throughout the passage of time, it's kind of like a self realized prophecy where he eventually does become, this character. So it's kind of like a nice evolution. Like I said, this costume looks like it'll eventually evolve into this, and it's the same character. All right, so this is a lot of pointless rambling, but I just wanted to share this custom with you. It was a nice project that I completed, I think, in under 3 hours. There was a lot of modification that had to be done with an X-Acto knife. That was the only thing that was kind of making me crazy. The paints, I just used simple acrylic paints. The white was Army Painter white. The red, I initially primed it with the white, but then I went over it with, I think it was like Dragon Blood red or something. And same with the belt. So, if you do a custom and you can keep it simple, keep it simple. I'm not one to like completely repaint an entire figure or 3D make custom parts. If I could just Frankenstein something together, I'm more than happy with that. So this is my Jason Todd Hush figure. It's a good proxy until they make an official one from McFarlane. Like I'm guessing that's going to come in the future. It's a very popular look, and they've given us the Dr. Thomas Elliot Hush figure already, and that one I think kind of fell short in a lot of different places. The coat was closed up. The solo release to have different colored gloves. One figure has a fist. The figure should really have 2 trigger finger hands. It doesn't come with pistols. So the McFarlane figure, as great as it is, it just kind of fell short. But I'm hoping if they do make the Jason Todd version that it's a little bit more accurate. Alright, so let's wrap this video up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you so much for your continued support. So, until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I will see you at the next one. Alright, later.